All right, good morning, man. This is a super early morning for me. Holy cow! This time change in El Paso, I did not take that into account whenever I moved, and it's 10 o'clock here. Noon o'clock on the East Coast, which I try to do everything on the East Coast still. So I've got a very, very special guest with me today. If you guys are into virtual tabletops, Fantasy Grounds Roll 20, any of the other virtual tabletops out there, you know who this is going to be. And this is Devin Knight, the one and only
Yeah,
famous
yeah,
Devin Knight. So
the
welcome,
only
man.
one. Nobody
Uh,
else would want to be me.
There,
Gotcha.
there are a couple of token creators out there that
Yeah,
are trying to look like your stuff. That's for sure. I've seen a few
that's
of
true.
them pop up recently. So,
Yeah.
but what's going on, Dev? Man, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good. I can't believe you think this is early. I mean, it's noon for me,
Yeah.
but 10 o'clock is like 2 or 3 hours into my day already.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's early when you go to bed at 7 o'clock because I went to bed at 7 o'clock
Oh,
this morning because I finished up a couple of Fantasy Grounds projects that I had going. I'm in the middle of building a intergalactic. Basically for my Starfinder campaigns, a intergalactic planetary database to where the players can just open up a sci-fi looking computer screen, and then there's like the entire galaxy and all these green pins that they can click on for the packed world solar system, and then near space, and then the vast. So they have like 40 to 50 different pins. Oh, what does this planet look like, or blah blah blah. So I've been working on that, which has been an ongoing project for actually I've got it all finished up now except for 4 planets in the packed worlds, and then I have been working on actually a project that's been a rolling project for years, where I put the little gray token bases, the gray token base for your tokens, because you just have so many damn tokens coming out all the time. So I always have to add more bases, and then I've been taking all of my maps. I've been a Pathfinder flipmat subscriber for many years, and so I've got all these free PDFs that they give me. So I took those and resized them all to 100 by 100 grid and relabeled them to where I could easily find them, and I made a Fantasy Grounds module. So now that I'm more settled and getting back into the swing of things, I'm trying to get more organized with my VTT stuff again. So, but yeah, 3 projects knocked out,
yeah.
which is
Yeah,
nice.
that's a lot more impressive than me just doing a little drawing.
No, it's not. This stuff you do is amazing, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all about if for those of any of my viewers that don't know what you do. I mean, you have an insane amount of the top-down PNG tokens. So I'll let you introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about what you do and how. Because we had a couple of pretty good conversations going before, but I've got those wrote down on my little board here, so we'll continue those. But let everybody know what you do and et cetera, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm Devin Knight. I make virtual tokens for virtual tabletops, almost exclusively all top down. I do a little bit of
Machine.
illustration. Yeah, not a machine. I used to be a machine. Now I'm kind of a rusty, slowing down machine. Like, I don't want to work nights or weekends, but I have a little bit. But yeah, I make tokens all the time, which is great. I love it. I'm not going to complain. I make tokens.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember when I first got into VTTs, 5, 6 years ago, they were just pretty much the Kickstarter tokens. And I know that there's a bunch of packs that, but they can go to your Immortal Knights website and they can download those for free. And then you have some other Pathfinder token packs that are also free as well. So, I mean, you've got, what's your token pack count up to, like 100 or something? You got to be
I
getting
think
close to
it's
100.
105, maybe 106. I've got 20 free packs that are the early stuff, not as good as the new stuff. I've got about 5 or 6 free packs that are more of the new stuff, but are still free. And then I have roughly 80, 85 premium packs, which are relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, man.
And then the Toma Beast packs, which on top of that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
How's that going, by the way? I know that you've been face down, and I know that when last time we talked, you were talking about taking the entire summer to finish off the Toma Beast.
Yeah, well, I took most of the summer off. It was a good summer, so I didn't work as much as I wanted to, but I still managed to get 2 packs done, and then like another pack shortly after summer. I've got 2 packs left, slated for November and December, but right now I'm about 2.5 weeks into November, finishing up custom token requests that I have to finish before I can go back to Toma Beast. But the goal is to get Toma Beast wrapped up shortly after the new year now, which would be great. It's always hanging over my head. It's 100 more tokens that I want to get done, and once I get them done, I can kind of go back to really investing quality time into making tokens instead of doing it like I feel like I have to do like 3 today. I can go back to doing, I want to make one that's amazing, and if I get a second one done, that's great. But right now I just have so many tokens I have to do 2 or 3 a day to stay on top of it, and it's a little bit too much like work, and I wanted to go back to feeling like art. So there's a goal. The goal is to get a Toma Beast done, and then going back to just making amazing tokens all the time.
I thought you were going to announce you were going to go into the Creature Codex, but
I saw that, and my first thought was, oh gosh, that'd be great to add on, but like not right away. And then there's the old Mulgrave or whatever they just kickstarted.
Yeah,
that would be fun to make just little sets of tokens that went along with each adventure. But again, nothing new until I get my current project load wrapped up and make sure all my current clients are happy.
I would imagine the custom tokens is probably pretty huge for you, because I know a lot of people, oh, I want this color, or I want that. And I've actually got some tokens that I've been wanting to order for a couple of years now, but I know you got so much stuff going on. So what I started doing was I just started chopping heads off and switching heads around and switching arms around, and cloaks and capes and stuff. So that's worked out pretty good to where I haven't, but I do want to order some custom tokens. So one day, but you got the Bear King, so that's like my token right there, man. Yep. That's like. I know you were thinking of me when you made that token. So
I totally was. I had a picture of you up and everything. So that guy is just you eating honey, sitting on a throne of twigs and branches.
Hell yes, man. So yeah. I mean, what really took me to, I remember when I first got in. I'll kind of go back. I think your pig-faced orcs just came out. Mm-hmm. And that's like one of my favorite token packs, just because you had your Kickstarter orcs, and they were good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them at all. But then when I saw the pig-faced orcs, I'm like, holy cow, man, this is like ridiculous. So back, I used a different VTT back then, so I picked up that, and then I just started buying all of your token packs, and I was like, wow, this stuff is awesome. And then when I started streaming, this whole thing kind of just fell on my lap. And when you and Greg Taylor from DungeonArts.com, you two were the only people out of about 15 people to 20 people that I contacted it and I reached out to, because my channel was growing at such an expeditious rate. It's a big, when 5e came out, I was the only person doing 5e, but it was D&D Next at the time, and I had anywhere between 250 and 500 viewers a night, and I was it was just so ridiculous. I was streaming anywhere between 6 and 7 games a week and wearing myself out. And but yeah, you and Greg Taylor were the only ones that took a chance on my channel, when I reached out to you. And that's something that I just won't forget. And I appreciate throughout the years the codes and stuff for your website to give away for my. Every year I do a Christmas giveaway extravaganza, which this year is my last one that I'm doing, by the way. So yeah, I appreciate you helping me out with that. That was really awesome, man.
Oh yeah. It's weird. I don't mind. I've done the work, so I don't mind sharing it. I of course want to sell some of it, but helping people out with being able to distribute it for me and get more people. I mean, to me it never seems like a bad idea, because it's weird. I still think a lot of people don't know about me, which is totally cool. But, like some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm king of tokens, everybody knows me. If you have Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, like you just know who I am automatically.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Then I go to Gen Con and I walk around with my name badge on and nobody knows me. I introduce myself to people and they're like, I've never even heard of virtual tabletops. I'm like, where have you been?
Yeah. Put your tinfoil hat back on and get off the internet. I mean, come on.
But yeah, so it's always great to work with other people, because I sit in my room by myself all day. The only interaction I have with other people is kind of virtually most of the time. So yeah.
I know. That's how my life has kind of transitioned from a store manager at Walmart to a troll that lives in an office now where I have my toys behind me and I just talk to people online all day. Yeah. I mean, that's the way it's gone for me as well. Although I do have my mother now, so that's kind of broken it up, and I get to go out and see the sun every once in a while, taking her to doctor's appointments and stuff like that, or to the hospital or whatever. So nice snort.
Just all the fun things.
Yeah. So how did you now that everybody knows what Devin does, how did you get into gaming? How did you get into Fantasy Grounds and the other VTTs and this beautiful hobby that we love?
Yeah, well, I started playing D&D back in early '80s, and I started playing with my younger brother Jay, who we were just a year apart, so we had a lot of similar interests. And a friend at school was like, you need to hear about this crazy miniatures wargaming stuff. And once I did, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So I got my friends together and we're like, we need to start playing Dungeons and Dragons. And of course, my younger brother was like, yeah. So, we started playing and we played all through, high school and stuff. And then I moved out of town to go to college. And, all of a sudden there was like, I can't play D&D with my brother anymore, which was kind of a huge motivator for just playing because, we were close and still are. So I think maybe 10, 15 years went by where there was no D&D, with my brother. And then one day I stumbled across Fantasy Grounds and that was a game changer. I mean, all of a sudden, like, there we were. I could, get my brother back online and other friends, and we could go back to playing Dungeons and Dragons. So that was how I got into it and found Fantasy Grounds was amazing. But at the time, as you know, they had no tokens. It was just numbers.
Yeah.
And you put them on a map and you're just like, yeah, letters. I'm just like, that's not cool. So, I've been doing graphics for a long time. So I just looked at their files. And I'm like, oh, they're just PNG files. They're just little circles. I'm like, what if that circle had, a couple arms? And what if that circle had a little circle on top that looked like a head and then swords? And then it grew from there. It was crazy.
Wow. So you mentioned little circles. I mean, did you draw previously? I know you've done graphic design, but I mean, did you sit down as a kid and draw orcs and skeletons, or was this like you just jumped headlong into drawing for the first time?
No, I've been drawing since shortly out of the womb. I'm a I'm a severe asthmatic, and back in the 70s and 80s, asthma medicine was crap. And so I spent a lot of my childhood, inside. And when you do that, you have to do something.
Yeah.
And back then, there was no Xbox and no great games. We had the Atari, which you'd play for about an hour, and then you're like, well, that was boring. So I just drew as a way to just express the creativity and stuff that I felt needed to go. So I've drawn forever, but I never drew top-down stuff until Fantasy Grounds, until I saw that there was a need for virtual tokens.
Yeah.
And as if you see my early stuff, it's rough. It's super rough, but that is just the way things are. You have to start small and then work up to wherever things go.
No, I know what you mean, because I look at some of my very first videos, and they're rough, and I'm like, oh man, I don't even want to. I want to take these off of YouTube, but I just keep them up there. So
yeah. I think people. I think it's just natural. I think everybody understands that the first things of everything is always rough. You have to get a foundation, and then that foundation helps everybody. Like there's people coming in a token business now who have a way they have my years of experience figuring out what works to start with. So their stuff, even though, it's different, is nicer than where I started, because they had the advantage of jumping on someplace, where I've already been.
Yeah, you basically paved the way. I mean, for tokens. I mean, yeah, for sure. So are talking about tokens and stuff, is there one pack that you're like, oh, this is like my opus, or is there one pack that you just feel like, wow, that was like the funnest to draw? And no, I'm not talking sales and stuff aside. Is there just one that you just awe over?
I think the Cosmic Encounters pack, because it is colorful and everything is in there is mostly unique. Like character packs, they all kind of blend together. But Desert Encounters is fun because it was kind of dark sun based, with unique monsters and characters. And then the Cosmic Encounters, I went crazy with like a little bit brighter colors and just a little bit looser feel for stuff. And I really enjoyed that one and the way it turned out.
That's awesome. Yeah, but I'm still a big fan of the pig face orcs, and the undead packs too. I think you're Undead 1 and 2. I thought those are pretty damn good too. So, but one thing that I've noticed about your work over the years is that your work has also evolved. I mean, it's like the detail has gotten better and better over time. Shadowing. I love shadowing on tokens and stuff. And so I've noticed that, when you talk about how your first packs, you look back, I can see over time you have evolved. But then again, you have been the most consistent as well. And, I'm sure that's probably helped you as well to get people to pick up your packs, because as a dungeon master, I don't want 50,000 different types of art on my virtual tabletop. So that's why I've basically stuck with you, unless there's like this super, super, super rare monster in another pack. And then I've bought a bunch of token packs just to get one creature out of that pack. But then again, months or maybe a year down the line, you come out with that monster anyway. So that token pack that I had is just all gone. So consistency has been awesome, and I've also seen your work progress. I mean, it was always awesome anyway. Seeing those whatever orcs or elves or whatever pirates but yeah. I actually wish I was a better painter, which sounds funny, but I'm pretty graphic in my approach. But there are times when I'm like, I wish I could go take a painting class to understand color better and stuff. Because I think there's always room to improve.
You can't just sit back and be like, I am the best. There's no way to get better from this point. But I'm always looking to get better. And there's a couple new tokens I've done. I forget which ones, where I've added some really bright, it seems garish at first, but I've added some really bright edge highlighting with blues and yellows. And my first thought was, oh my God, that looks horrible. But when you back out, that lighting just really enhances it. And I'm just like, I should be doing this on all of them. And so now I'm trying, again, with my tokens, I'm trying to go even further along with, creating a volume and dimension with the tokens so that they look even more, because there's other people that do that better. And I'm not happy unless I'm constantly evolving and getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to do the same thing, with better overlays, and sometimes I just throw the overlays away for a while. But yeah, when you do something and when you take pride in it, and I know you do, because you could just tell by your work, you're always going to try to evolve and try to do better. So, but yeah, I know what you mean on that.
Yeah.
So when you're drawing, do you draw, do you hand draw this electronically on like a tablet, or do you use just Photoshop with the little circles of brushes and stuff? I always wanted to know that. I always wanted to know if you hand painted them.
I draw. Yeah, I do everything in Photoshop now. It used to be I would draw it on paper. I would ink it on paper. I would scan in the inked image. I would take it into Illustrator, and Illustrator had a feature that turns ink drawings into vector art, and that would make it all nice and clean. And then I took the vector art and took it into Photoshop to do the coloring, and it took 3 or 4 hours just to get it into Photoshop and ready to work with. But now
just
what
one
I
token,
do,
right?
Just one token.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So now I do a quick sketch on paper. I scan it. I send that to the customer if they like it. I almost always just start fresh in Photoshop and redraw it rough. I have some 3-dimensional aids. I use Poser for rough characters, but in monsters and stuff like that, I just start with really rough shapes and then just refine it as I work on it. And once I have, if you watch any of my videos, you'll see I have black and white art, and then I have underneath that the color art. So I have a very specific approach that I use every single time. And I do all the color underneath the line work, so the line work's always nice and solid. And then I can make changes to stuff relatively easily.
Nice.
But yeah, all hand drawn for the most part.
That's good, man. I always wondered that. I could see you, with your little goggles and your light on, like when I'm painting miniatures. You're doing the same thing on your tablet.
Yeah.
So what kind of games do you have going on? Are you playing any games right now? Are you playing DMing any games? And plus, when you do that, I mean, do you always say, "Oh, I don't have a token for that, and I have to make a token really quick for my games"?
Yeah, I was DMing over the first part of summer, and last year I was running my own campaign. But then I got busy, so another guy took over running the game. So not right now. I'm playing in a game, and that should be for a couple more months, maybe even 5 or 6 months until he's done, and then I'll go back to running my game again. And hopefully by then, my workload is under control and I can spend time, because I like to modify. Like you said, oh, I need a token for that. I'll make a token for that. I need a new map for this. So I like to do that a lot. And it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I pretty much pre-build all of my campaign stuff for Fantasy Grounds, and even though it's already put together, and and I have access to everything now, I still play Doctor and chisel everything apart and put everything
Right.
back together
Yep.
to the way that I can run it the most efficient way and take everything out that I always do that. So, so what game is it? Is it a D&D 5e game or Pathfinder?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure what we're playing now is Out of the Abyss.
Okay. Yeah, the Underdark,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of time traveling so far, and the DM, and this is totally his choice, isn't using my tokens yet. So I'm like, dude.
He's still got the letters up there, the letters and numbers up there.
Yeah, he's using portraits, which is okay.
Yeah. Oh, the Pogs. Yeah. Anytime that I get a module, I'd go as I'm putting everything together. The encounters. You know how it works with Fantasy Grounds. You just press the button and voila. I always have to unlock it. And
you went quiet all of a sudden.
Whoa! Hello!
Okay,
Can you hear? Yeah. I probably just didn't press the button down well enough. But yeah, that's what I do. I go right into the encounters. I just start dragging and dropping your tokens into the encounters, and it's all good to go. So, man, you need to get on your buddy about not using your tokens. You're like, I put a lot of time and effort into this. You need to be using them.
Yeah, he's using Fantasy Grounds, so he's bought the work that Fantasy Grounds did to put it all together, and it's easier for him. I mean, he's not an artist; he's a doctor, so like that's important. So I don't hold it against him. Whatever. The game is the game, and whatever. A lot of theater of the mind stuff so far, and I'm totally cool with that.
Did anybody die in Valkenvelf trying to escape?
Valkenvelf, is that the
where you start the game?
Yeah,
in the prison.
No, we rescued 13 NPCs on the way out, and so his job is horrible because he's running 13 NPCs every encounter and stuff like that, and I told him you just need to start killing them off or having them go their separate ways because
Devin, that was the first thing I did when I ran that damn adventure, and I had every single NPC survive. I just started killing them off like 3 and 4 at a session. But I did, I kept what was his name? Stool, the little mushroom guy. Everybody loved him, and everybody loved Jim Jar. So I kept those two. But other than that, they all died. They were expendable.
Yeah. I told him, I'm like, I don't think they realize, and I don't know if it's how he's supposed to be run, but Stool has empathetic abilities to like communicate with people that he has spored. Like that is huge. Like that is mental communication for your whole group if you relay through Stool. That's crazy. So we're keeping Stool as if he's like a relic.
And plus he has some content for the fungus groves later on in the adventure too. So whoa, spoilers.
Yeah, I know. We haven't gotten there yet. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm sure my brother Jay, the funny thing about my brother Jay was that he memorized, he doesn't like to dungeon master. He's not that outgoing verbally, but he memorized the monster manual, and any new monster manual that came out, he would memorize it. And you'd throw an orc at him and he'd know like 3 hit dice, blah, 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 12 hit points, blah, blah, blah. And So
he's metagaming the shit out of everything, basically, right?
So I wouldn't be surprised if he went through the PDF, but I don't think he does that anymore. But so when I would dungeon master, I take stuff and I just mix it all the hell up. Like I don't care about hit points, I don't care about what skills are supposed to have because my brother knows what orcs are capable of. Yeah. So these orcs are slightly different,
I did the same thing as you, but I started, taking, for instance, I remember I was running, it was getting towards the end of Tyranny of Dragons, and this is probably back in 2014, and, the players were getting up there probably about level 8, level 9. They were once you get level 5 in D&D 5e, the game is over. You're just in God mode with extra attack and fireball and lightning bolt and stuff, and the monsters never scaled well from the monster manual. Now, Kobold Press's Tome of Beast, those are some pretty vicious, and then monsters got better in 5e as Volos came out, and Mordenkainen, anything that had additional monsters. But I remember I took, especially with you were saying your brother would memorize everything. My players would do the same, and sometimes I would throw a yellow ochre jelly, and then all of a sudden their long swords that do slashing damage. All of a sudden they put those away after using them for 8 straight months, and now they're using piercing. So so I started switching things up. I would, first encounter I did was a cavern encounter with a bunch of bullywugs. It was after the castle. They go down and they start looking for the portal and stuff. So I remember I started giving these. I called them legionnaires, and I gave them sneak attack and all this other stuff. And one of my players, which actually just passed away a couple of months ago, he played a rogue named Sissingai, and he was an older gentleman. And he says, "What I hit him with sneak attack damage." He says, "Well, Dave, I don't remember seeing sneak attack on these bullywugs." I was like, "Well, that's because I said, number one, you don't need to be following along in the module or the monster manual." But I said, "Hey, these bullywugs, they have sneak attack," and they just pounded the hell out of him because I was like, all right, he's metagaming. So all of them just swarmed him for no reason. Just because he was metagaming. So, but I tried to do that. So when you in about 5 or 6 months, when you start running a game again, do you have any ideas? Are you going to run 5e? Are you going to do a different system? Are you going to do a homebrew? Any book?
It's 5th edition, but I've been writing my own campaign.
Write it, publish it, and you got your own tokens to go with it, dude.
Well, here's the thing. I'm using some existing content. Some of the modules exist in certain places, so they'll encounter the modules. They go to different places. But what I'm trying to do is create, Matt Colville's Stronghold and blah blah blah.
Yep.
And I had a similar idea, but mine, of course, was all visual based. So I have a map of a ruined town that the adventurers find, and they have 20 NPCs that came there with them, and they're rebuilding the town. So they go on adventures, and when they come back, I have visual enhancements to the map. So everything's burned down and in ruins, and they leave, they come back, and the townspeople have managed to, build up the tavern a little bit. So the tavern's now looking like it's being repaired, and the smithy has, a roof on it now and stuff like that. And the keep has been cleaned. So every time they leave and come back, depending on how long they're gone, I make a new map that has
that's awesome.
more. Yeah. So it looks like the town is, they're starting to build a wooden wall around it and stuff. So, I have little wooden palisades in certain places and trenches dug in other places so they can. So what I'm trying to do is just build them building their own base of operations, and
Nice.
it's a lot of work, but it's fun. And what I wanted to do, which hasn't really worked, and I think Matt Colville's stuff will probably help me tremendously, is actually the economic side, the benefits of certain things, the actual growing of a town. I can do it visually. I'm not a great thinker all the time, so not all the aspects. And I wanted the players to get more involved with, so let's take a week off and we'll help them dig trenches and we'll help them cut wood and we'll help gather resources and stuff, which will lead to other things like, when they're off gathering wood, attacked by goblins, and now they're drawn into this, other little scenarios. So that's what I'm working on. And I didn't have time to really think about all the things that have to tie into that. So I'm going to play for a while.
That's I did a 4th edition game like that with a progression based as, but of course I'm not an artist. I can't even draw a stick figure, man. So there's all kinds of token packs out there with just roofs and stuff. So I would add a couple more roofs and a well and stuff. So I like doing stuff like that. And I did a 4E game like that. So,
yeah.
Oh man. So do you have any packs that are coming out here in the future? I mean, any kind of, I know you're working on the 2 Tome of Beast. Anything else, like any more heroic characters, any other monster packs, or?
Yeah, I can't think what they are. I did some Greek gods, which I'd like to flesh that out. Yeah, I did Zeus, Hades, Apollo, and another one. So I'd like to flesh that out and do like a whole Greek themed set. I have a ton of monsters that haven't seen the light of day yet. More characters will probably be released probably in a month or two. What else have I been doing? A lot of stuff. I just can't think of. The problem is I do 10 or 12 Greek gods, and it's not enough to release as a set. So I have to wait until I have enough free time to flesh out an entire set of 20. Maybe I should start making packs of 10 tokens or something, but I think everybody expects at least 20 to 30 tokens in a set. So I like to have at least that many before I release a set. So I have a lot of bits and pieces. Knights. I'm working on a lot of knights. So there should be another knight set that comes out. So yeah, a lot of bits and pieces, not a whole lot of finished stuff yet.
So I'm taking it, when you say something like that, you take your commissions and your special orders, and you probably, what do you like, set them aside and just let them accumulate for a little bit, and then say, oh well, this is almost ready, I could use 5 more, and then put it out. So
yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Perfect
so
idea.
I had a guy who ordered Cthulhu tokens, World War II soldiers. So I did a bunch of German soldiers. Some of them were orcs, some were elves, some demons and stuff like that. And I have about 16 of them. It's not enough for a set, but eventually he'll either come back and order some American soldiers, and then I'll have enough to make an entire set and I'll release it. Or somebody else will see that, like I post a couple and somebody else is like, oh yeah, I'd love that for my Cthulhu game. And I'll order, maybe if I order 5 and somebody else orders 5, then I have enough to release a set. Yeah.
Well, I think you didn't you do a Vietnamese set, like a Vietnam War era?
I did the Vietnam era soldiers.
Weird Wars, Savage Worlds, that would be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And
you can tell I'm just a fanboy of your stuff. I know all your damn token packs.
yeah, better than I do.
Yeah, you even did the little icons with like the corn and stuff like that. So
the resource icons, yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of work too, and that was time. I want to say
there's a lot. There's hundreds and hundreds of tokens in there.
Yeah. I want to say I did that like 6 years ago, but it was probably closer to 8. I've been looking. Sometimes people will come by and think, hey, you still have that one token? And I'll look it up, and it was like from 10 years ago. I'm like, holy crap, time flies.
Yeah, it does.
What I had to do
I've been doing this 5 years already. This is in October 2018. It's 5 years. So sorry about that.
Yeah. No, that's what I had to do was I went through and I made printouts of all the tokens in each pack, and then I made a big PDF file. Because if somebody says, "Hey, what about that one token?" I can mostly remember everything I've worked on, but I'm starting to get to the point where I think I did something, but I'm not sure I did something. So I made this quick resource where I could flip through pack by pack and see if I'd actually created something like that in the past. And there's a lot of things I can't release because they are kind of intellectual property too close to the original. So I have a lot of things I can use for parts that I totally forget about. So I'm constantly going through my folders and running across stuff that I totally forgot I even had. And so, yeah.
And then you're like, man, I just spent hours making these 2 arms. I've done the same thing. That's crazy. I could just imagine. So I imagine you probably have all separate layers as well. Probably thousands and thousands of layers, or you kind of keep the PSD files separated, or. Yeah,
the smartest thing I did, and this is one of my trade secrets. The smartest thing I did was I made these head builders. And so I have a human head which is basically the round head with the eyes. And then on a different layer, I have hair. So I have 50 different types of hairstyles I can put on a head. And then I can change scars, eye color, facial color, ears, and I can make all those changes in Photoshop relatively quickly. And then I can produce heads for different characters and stuff. So whenever I get like pig-faced orcs, so the first thing I did was I made the basic shape of a pig-faced orc. And then I'm like, oh, tusks like this, and then tusks that look like this, and then hats, eye colors, warts. And that way I can just quickly assemble like 30 different heads for pig-faced orcs and then throw them on the bodies and stuff.
And that is super smart to do. I mean, big time. Like all of the stuff I've made, Zovia, she told me about layers at first because I would not do anything. I would not save anything. So now the last couple of years, I've pretty much saved everything because I learned from my mistakes, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I could just imagine some PSD files. I have 100, 150 layers and stuff, but I can just imagine. Especially because I use paint.net, so it's like super, super slow and boggy. So, yeah. So,
go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. No.
I've been mostly, when I graduated from college, I had a design degree. I'm not an illustrator major. So everything I do is production oriented. So I used to do pre-press, and I used to do a lot of stuff for companies that was just production. Not exciting, but very repetitive. And, here's 20 files. You got to do this to each one of them. So when I approached token making, it was from a design perspective. It was from a point of view of doing these in a production type environment, as opposed to like my friend Steve Prescott, who is an amazing illustrator. He's an illustrator. When he does work, he does it like an illustrator would, because he's been making a couple tokens, kind of on my request. He did gnolls, and his gnolls are amazing, gnolls and kobolds. But he has one layer, and that layer is the art layer, and it's painted on the same layer. And I'm like, dude, we need to talk, because we need to make these so you can make them different when we need to. But he approaches it completely differently, because to him, each token is an illustration. To me, each token is a series of layers, parts that make a token. And it's funny the mental approach that me and him take to this, which is completely different.
Did he take any of your advice and start using layers, or does he still just basically illustrate everything?
Steve is Steve. He he's so good. I mean, the problem is he's so stinking good at it. So he does it his way, but occasionally what I'll do is I'll take his work and I'll still manage to chop it up, paint it all nice, like the shoulders, paint it all like there's no head, and then put a different head on when I need to, which I don't very often. But yeah, he's amazing. His art is fantastic.
Nice. So do you want to take a couple of questions from the audience? I've seen, since we've been talking, a couple of questions come up.
Do we have an audience?
Yeah, we're live right now on Twitch. So yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, and plus I'm going to be putting this on YouTube on my YouTube channel as well. So a lot of people are saying that they love your work. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep churning out the token packs. A couple have said, hurry up and finish the Tome of Beasts. No, I'm just kidding.
I want to finish. I want to finish Tome of Beasts.
Fantasy Grounds College is Leroon saying that he's hoping to get you in one of his one shots one day.
Would love to. I am always willing. Nobody wants me on their shows, but I'm always willing to do it. I will sit down for any one shot anytime almost.
Nice. Well, I think I've been bugging you for years to come on to a stream.
Okay.
I've been bugging you for years, and we tried a couple months back before I had did my move and stuff, and I remember your audio and stuff was always it was just chopping up, and it was working fine. All of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but
yeah, I think it's something to do with Mac and USB interface on video and audio stuff. So I switched to these headphones, which are wired through an audio jack, and bingo,
Perfect.
No problems.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so I'm ready to go anytime now.
Nice. No, I'm glad that we were going to do this last week, but I had to take my mother's been to the emergency room 5 times since being in El Paso. Poor
Crazy.
woman. I think she's getting not used to the altitude. I mean, we're 5,000 feet above sea level and everything. So, but Zovia, she's actually chimed in, and we were talking about different styles and stuff and how we progress, and she was saying that you don't even need a class, Devin. She's basically saying just watch YouTube videos. That's how she learned, just by watching those.
Yeah.
So here's something from East. He says, here's an idea for you, Devin. Make top-down terrain tokens of towns, buildings, towers, and then, let them drop them onto a map. So to where they could do a customizable scene with not only Devinite tokens, but Devinite terrain.
Yeah, I have a couple dungeon packs.
Whoa. Where are these at?
They're on my site. I have Dungeon Items 1.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
The Qin Dynasty stuff, which is all Chinese-based items. The problem is I want to make more map stuff and terrain stuff. The problem is whether I should give up making tokens to do it, because there's a lot of great people that make terrain stuff and map stuff. And if I start taking my time and making that stuff, then I leave the door open for not making monster tokens and character tokens, which right now I feel like I have the edge on other people by already having so much done. If I can just stay with tokens, I stay on top of the market, if that makes sense.
Nice.
But I would, if I had more time, I would love to do more map stuff. Like the whole town that I was talking about earlier, I have a whole folder of buildings that are in 3 or 4 different stages. They're fully put together, they're burnt, they're in ruins, and then they're down to their foundations. Again, it's almost enough to release as a pack, but it's not quite there. So it's been sitting there for over a year, waiting for me to get back to it and make more stuff for it.
Well, that's one that I would pick up for sure.
I love the idea, though.
So a lot of people are very appreciative of your work and stuff. A lot of people are saying, Catalyst is saying he's glad he could come and watch. And what are you doing up so early, Dave? This is so out of your time. It is actually. I've got another stream I'm doing tonight. So let's see. There's another one where was this thing at? Oh, actually, Fantasy Grounds College asked, have you been approached by Paizo well, obviously you probably have been with Paizo, but Wizards of the Coast or WizKids or anything like that?
No, and I don't know if that's good or bad. It's probably bad. Like it would be an awesome dream to work for that. The best I've done so far is Wolfgang Bauer and Cabal Press, which I think is great. And Wolfgang is great, and Cabal
he's
Press
a great
has been
guy.
awesome. Yeah. Would I love to be approached by Paizo and Wizards of the Coast to do stuff? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
It would be amazing. Paizo's been great because they let me release the Pathfinder tokens.
Yeah, the icon set, yeah.
Yep. Those are 2 packs that are free, and Paizo is okay as long as it's, they're free and I say that they're Paizo's IP. But no one from those companies has ever actually approached me, so...
Well, there we go. Come on, Watsy and Paizo, let's go. Get on the bandwagon. I'll also Pinnacle with Savage Worlds. So, have you tried Savage Worlds? I got a new Kickstarter out now.
I almost played like 10 years ago, but it never happened.
No, it's a good game. Yeah. Catterley, one of my players, he's been running Out of the Abyss for his kids and his friends. And he says, many PCs does make it difficult. And he says everybody loves stool. Is it there? No, there's no stool. I don't think you've made a stool miniature, but I mean, there's other shriekers and stuff that you could use that you've made to kind of substitute. So let's see. Cantros is got to get going, but thanks for all the work that you do. And Chris says he just bought 6 packs, all of your Tome of Beast. And then he says in X capital letters, hurry up with the last two. No, I'm just kidding. I am just totally kidding with that. So why don't you, while we're kind of waiting for a couple more questions, why don't you tell everybody where they can find your work and tell them about your website and all that good stuff?
My website is basically just dedicated to the store, even though I do post blog stuff there occasionally just to let people know what's up. www.immortalknights.com/token site will take you straight to the site dedicated to tokens. You can go to immortalknights.com and you can see a little bit of my other freelance work that I used to do before I became a token specialist. But yeah, /token site will take you right there. But if you're looking for my tokens, if you're using a virtual tabletop, chances are it's in their marketplace or store already. So most of my stuff is in Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, D20 Pro, and my own store. To be completely honest, I make the most from my own store sales, but wherever you buy them, I'm more than happy to have you buy my stuff, and that makes me really happy.
I just put a link to your website into the Twitch chat so everyone can check it out. So I know when I give out the codes that you give me for giveaways, or when I buy a bulk amount of them, which I need to do again here pretty soon. I'm almost out. Everybody always replies back, "Holy crap, I didn't know he had his own website." I'm like, just Google Devin Knight. It'll be the first thing that pops up. So so this is actually a pretty good question, and I've seen this happen a couple times on different token sites. But Devin, have you ever considered selling complete packs of tokens based on different adventures to fully flesh them out? So like, Lost Mine of Fandelver or Out of the Abyss or something like that. That's a good question, actually.
It's a great quote. It's a great question. It's a great idea. And if I could go back in time and restructure how I do things, I would probably make packs based specifically on adventures, because it's a great way to do it. I mean, to open up an adventure and then just be able to buy a pack that has tokens that match all the things you need is great. The question I have to the question is whether or not it would function now. Like, a lot of people buy my packs just as they come out. So if I released a pack that just drew all the tokens from the different packs for Lost Mines of Fandelver, would anybody need to buy that because they already have all the tokens already? So going forward, if new modules came out that had unique monsters, I could see doing that. But the question is now, like, with the existing stuff, it's tough. But I still consider doing it every once in a while just for convenience sake. Having all the tokens in one place already named appropriately for what they're taking place of.
Well, you could still do that, but just put a disclaimer. If you have my other token packs, you may already have some of these. But I mean, I've seen that happen a couple times. But there was one artist that did Tyranny of Dragons, and then that was it. Didn't see it anymore, and then it goes right back to consistency. So I guess people just give up too early. They just give up too early, and
right. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I had a thought, but I lost it. Let's keep talking.
Well, actually, I don't see any other questions. So, I mean, I appreciate you coming on, Devin, and I'm not going to keep you. I know you got your 3 tokens for the day that you got to get done, and it was nice to be able to get back on and with the just sit down and shoot the crap for an hour. So I'm a big fan of what you do, and I appreciate the work that you do, and it's definitely helped my games, and I know my players have enjoyed it by not seeing just letters or numbers or something like that. So, thanks for doing what you do, man. You do rock. So,
thank you. I appreciate that, and I want to make sure that my customers and patrons. I don't have a Patreon yet. That's hopefully in the works, maybe eventually.
Oh, nice.
My patrons, I want them to know that I appreciate them buying my stuff so much. Because it's virtual, it'd be so easy to pirate it, get it off of whatever. But the fact that these people keep coming back and buying my stuff, it's really hard to express, but it validates what I'm doing and it keeps me going. So thank you to everybody who loves my work and uses it.
And this is what you do full time now, right?
It's
awesome, man.
It wasn't for a long time, but for the past 4 or 5 years, it's people like you and all my other people, they allow me to do this, and it's great.
It's awesome, man. Well, we'll have to have you on again down the line.
Sure.
Maybe when you're halfway through the Creature Codex or something like that.
What? Obscenities.
I had to throw that in there. So thanks again, man. I'll be getting with you about some stuff, and thanks so much for coming on. And it was nice to hear the story of Devinite and how you got going, and for the future. So I wish you nothing but the best of luck, man.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. So that's going to conclude this Digital Dungeon Master Vodcast with my very special guest, Devin Knight. Check out his Immortal Knights website. You can check him out on Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, all the virtual tabletops out there. He's on them. I think you're on. Aren't you on RPG as well?
No.
So don't check him out on RPG because he is not there. So thanks again, Devin. I totally appreciate it, man. Yep. And I appreciate, like I said, you took a chance on me and what I started doing 5 years ago. And, I can't ever thank you enough for that. And, that's why I keep you up on my site all the time and stuff. And so we'll talk to you again soon, man. And thanks for hanging out. And everybody, Devin Knight, thank you for coming on. And thanks again, everybody. We'll have another vodcast here in the next couple of weeks, or actually the next week. I'm going to have probably have Shane Helmsley on from Pinnacle Entertainment and Savage Worlds. So hopefully we'll be able to get in before the Kickstarter's over, and a couple of other bigger YouTube channels in the future. So until next podcast, everybody, thank you again. Thanks again to Devin for coming on, and happy gaming, and check out the Immortal Knight site. Bye, everybody.